The sky burned with silver light as the alien transport ship entered Earth's atmosphere. Its hull shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting clouds and sunlight. People in the military base below stopped what they were doing and stared upward, shielding their eyes from the brilliance. For a moment, everything went quiet. Then, the sound of the engines roared like thunder. Dust swept across the field as the ship landed with a deep metallic thud. The air smelled of ozone and burnt steel. From inside the ship, a line of alien cadets stood in perfect formation. They were young, proud, and glowing faintly in shades of blue and green. Their armor was thin and light, built for planets where gravity was weak. Their leader, Commander Tarek, stepped forward. His voice was calm but proud. "Remember, this mission is not war. It is an exchange of strength and wisdom," he told his team. "Humans are fragile, but they are survivors. Learn what you can, and show them what true endurance means." The ramp lowered slowly, steam curling around their boots as they stepped out. On the other side, a group of human soldiers waited, standing tall in dark uniforms. Their leader, Commander Reyes, had a scar across his cheek and eyes that watched everything. He smiled slightly as the aliens approached. "Welcome to Earth," he said in a deep voice. "We call this place Gravity Base Alpha." One alien tilted his head. "Gravity Base? Sounds weak." The humans exchanged glances but said nothing. Reyes only smiled wider. "You'll see soon." The aliens looked around curiously. The sky seemed heavier, the ground firmer. Even the air pressed against their skin in ways they didn't understand. One cadet whispered to another, "It feels strange here. Heavy." Reyes turned and began walking toward the massive training dome ahead. "You're here for gravity adaptation," he explained. "We'll start light today. Just a small test." Inside the dome, machines hummed. The walls glowed with faint blue lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. The humans moved easily, walking, stretching, lifting weights. The aliens followed, their boots clicking against the steel floor. Each step felt heavier than the last. Commander Reyes stopped in front of a circular platform. "This," he said, tapping the side panel, "is our gravity simulator. It can reproduce the pull of any planet in the galaxy. But today, we're keeping it simple, Earth gravity. 1G. The aliens laughed softly. 1G. "That's all," one said with a grin. "We train in 4G combat zones." Reyes gave a short nod. "Then this should be easy." The first alien stepped onto the platform. He was tall, confident, his muscles lean and wiry. The simulator began to hum. A soft blue light wrapped around his body. At first, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, his knees bent, his body sank a few inches lower. His smile vanished. "Increase to full Earth gravity," Reyes ordered. The machine beeped, and the alien dropped to one knee. His breathing grew heavy. The others watched in shock. "What's happening?" another shouted. Reyes folded his arms. "That's just 1G. Welcome to Earth." The alien tried to stand, but his legs trembled. Sweat began to form on his neck, an unfamiliar feeling. He gritted his teeth, trying not to fall. The human soldiers watched quietly. They'd all been there once, that same weight pressing down, testing every bone, every muscle. After a long moment, the alien stumbled off the platform, gasping for air. "This planet is a nightmare," he muttered. Reyes chuckled. "No, cadet. This planet builds warriors." The next alien stepped forward, refusing to show fear. But within minutes, he too was panting, muscles shaking. Even the proud Commander Tarek began to feel his body strain just from standing still. Every movement required effort. Their bones ached. Their backs burned. It was as if the planet itself wanted to pin them down. Reyes finally said, "Enough for today. You'll adapt in time. We humans have a saying, strength is earned under pressure." The aliens exchanged uneasy looks. They had fought in zero-gravity arenas, trained under red suns, survived acid storms. Yet nothing compared to this invisible weight that crushed their pride. As they walked out of the dome, one alien stumbled and had to be helped by a human soldier. He tried to push the man away but couldn't even lift his arm properly. "Don't touch me," he growled, humiliated. The soldier smiled kindly. "Relax, buddy. Everyone hates their first leg day." The aliens stopped. "Leg day," one repeated. Reyes turned around, smirking. "It's what we call training for lower body strength. We do it every week." The aliens stared in disbelief. "Every week?" Tarek asked, his voice filled with both awe and horror. "You humans do this on purpose?" Reyes laughed, a sound that echoed through the hall. "Oh yes. We love it." As night fell over the base, the aliens sat in their quarters, exhausted and silent. The weight of Earth still pressed on their chests. One cadet whispered, "If this is only the beginning, how do they survive?" Outside, through the window, they saw humans jogging under the stars, their bodies steady, their steps strong. No armor, no exosuits, no aid. Just muscle, bone, and will. Commander Tarek clenched his fists. "Tomorrow," he said quietly, "we endure." Far away, in the human barracks, Reyes stood by the window too, watching the alien quarters. He knew what was coming: broken pride, aching bodies, maybe even failure. But he also knew the lesson they would learn, the one every human had to face. The planet didn't forgive weakness. It shaped strength through pain. And for humans, that pain had a name: leg day. Morning came heavy with mist and the faint scent of metal. The alien cadets woke slowly, their limbs aching from the day before. Even standing up felt like a battle. Some of them had never known this kind of weakness. Commander Tarek rubbed his neck and looked around the barracks. His soldiers, once full of pride, now moved like wounded animals. "Prepare for training," he said quietly. His voice was calm, but inside he felt the same pain. When they stepped outside, the humans were already waiting, jogging, laughing, and stretching in the morning sun as if gravity was nothing. Commander Reyes met them with his usual half-smile. "Good morning, cadets. Sleep well." No one answered. One alien muttered something under his breath, but Reyes ignored it. "Today," he continued, "we start your gravity endurance test. Simple exercises. Nothing extreme." The humans laughed softly among themselves. The aliens exchanged nervous glances, unsure if Reyes was joking. They followed him into the training field, a wide space filled with weights, ropes, and strange metal frames. Every tool looked harmless, but after yesterday's experience, even walking felt like a challenge. Reyes clapped his hands once. "Let's begin with squats," he said. 100 reps. The aliens blinked. 100? One asked. Reyes nodded. "Start slow. Control your form. Feel the gravity." Commander Tarek stepped forward. "We are not children, Commander Reyes. We can handle more than this." Reyes smiled. "Prove it." The aliens began their squats. The first few were easy, but after 10, their legs started to tremble. By 20, some could barely move. Sweat poured down their glowing skin. One fell backward, landing hard on the ground. The humans didn't mock them. Instead, they cheered. "Come on. You got this," shouted a soldier. The aliens looked confused. Their species didn't encourage weakness, yet here, humans cheered for struggle. Reyes walked slowly between them, observing. "Pain means progress," he said. "Gravity doesn't care who you are. It pulls everyone down the same." When they reached 50 squats, only 3 aliens remained standing. Commander Tarek was one of them, his jaw tight with stubborn pride. He wouldn't quit, not in front of humans. But his body was shaking, his lungs burning. Finally, he collapsed onto his knees, breathing hard. Reyes crouched beside him. "That's good enough for today, Commander. You lasted longer than most recruits." Tarek looked up, angry. You call this strength training? No, Reyes said. I call it the beginning. The aliens rested on the ground, gasping. Humans brought them water and protein bars. The aliens accepted reluctantly, too tired to argue. After a short break, Reyes led them to the next area, a running track made of red earth. We'll test your stamina now, he said. 2 kilometers. Full gear. The aliens groaned. Their suits were light by design, but on Earth, even light metal felt like chains. Still, they lined up, determined not to appear weak. Reyes blew the whistle. The humans took off like arrows. The aliens followed, their steps heavy, their breathing loud. Within minutes, 2 fell behind. Another stumbled and rolled to the side. The ground felt alive, each step dragging them deeper. By the time the first human finished, most of the aliens had barely completed 1 lap. The soldiers clapped again, encouraging them to finish. Reyes turned to Tarek, who was still pushing forward, drenched in sweat. You can stop, he said. You've proven enough. But Tarek shook his head. We don't stop, he said between breaths. We adapt. When he finally crossed the line, the humans saluted him. Even Reyes gave a small nod of respect. You've got heart, Commander. I'll give you that. The aliens collapsed in the shade, exhausted. One of them groaned, How do you people live like this? A human soldier sitting nearby smiled. We don't live despite gravity, he said. We live because of it. The words stayed in their minds long after training ended. Later, during the debrief, Reyes spoke to them all. Gravity is the first enemy you'll ever fight, he said. And it never stops fighting back. That's why humans are strong, we fight it every day. The aliens listened silently. None dared to argue now. Even the most arrogant among them had learned humility. When the meeting ended, they returned to their quarters. The room was quiet except for the sound of breathing. Tarek sat by the window, staring at the humans still training outside. They lifted weights, ran drills, laughed through their pain. They are insane, one alien whispered. No, Tarek replied. They are disciplined. He looked at his trembling hands. Their strength comes from the world itself. Maybe we were wrong to think of this planet as weak. The others nodded, too tired to speak. As night fell, Tarek opened his communicator and recorded a message for his superiors. First day of endurance training complete. Observation: Earth gravity creates natural resistance. It changes body and mind. The humans thrive under it. We struggle. Their species may appear soft, but they are forged by this invisible force. He paused, looking out at the dark sky, requesting to continue training despite difficulties. I believe there is more to learn. He ended the message and leaned back, muscles aching but heart alive. Outside, a storm rolled across the horizon, lightning flashing over the base. The ground trembled, and the sound of thunder echoed like a heartbeat. The aliens stared into the night, and for the first time, they felt something close to respect and fear. The next day's schedule was already posted on their door. The heading read, Gravity Strength Drill, Lower Body Focus. Commander Tarek smiled bitterly. So, he whispered, leg day again. The third morning arrived with gray clouds hanging low over the training base. A cold wind swept across the field, carrying dust and the metallic scent of sweat and oil. The alien cadets stood in a crooked line, shoulders slumped, eyes tired. Their glowing skin had dimmed slightly from exhaustion. Even their commander, Tarek, felt the strain deep in his bones. Earth's gravity no longer felt like an invisible force, it was now a living creature pressing down on them, testing them every moment. Commander Reyes walked past them, his boots crunching against the gravel. Day 3, he said calmly. You're all still alive. That's a good sign. A few humans chuckled quietly. Reyes pointed to the obstacle field, a maze of walls, ropes, and heavy barriers. Today is coordination and balance. You'll move through the course under full gravity. Speed isn't the goal, control is. The aliens exchanged glances. Their bodies still ached from the previous drills, but no one wanted to be the first to quit. The humans moved easily, jumping over barriers, running across beams, climbing ropes like they were weightless. The aliens followed, but it was chaos. The first alien to step onto the rope bridge slipped after 2 steps and crashed into the mud below. Another couldn't lift his legs high enough to clear a barrier. Frustration filled the air. One cadet yelled, "This is pointless. Our bodies are not made for this planet." Reyes turned slowly. "Then maybe this planet will make new bodies for you." His words stung. Commander Tarek clenched his fists and stepped forward. "Again," he said to his team. "We repeat until we pass." His legs shook as he climbed, his breath harsh and uneven. He slipped twice but refused to stop. The humans watched with quiet respect. One of them, Sergeant Miller, whispered to Reyes, "They've got fight, sir. Just not balance." Reyes nodded. "They'll learn. Gravity is the best teacher." Hours passed. The aliens fell, got up, and fell again. Mud covered their uniforms, sweat soaked their skin, but they kept moving. Slowly, painfully, they began to adapt. Their steps grew steadier, their jumps a little higher. By midday, even the smallest successes felt like victory. But tension was building inside the team. During the break, one of the younger cadets, Lyrak, slammed his fist into the ground. "This is humiliation. We are warriors of the Zephyrian fleet, not ground crawlers." Another cadet nodded. "We train for battles in orbit, not this madness." Tarek looked at them with tired eyes. "Then maybe that's why we're losing." The words hit hard. Silence followed. Tarek's tone was not angry, just honest. "We've grown soft in zero gravity. We forgot how strength feels when it has weight." Lyrak glared at him but said nothing. Inside, resentment grew. As the day continued, the drills intensified. Now they had to carry weighted packs while crawling under rotating beams. Humans completed it easily, laughing and shouting jokes. The aliens stumbled, tripped, and swore in their native tongue. During one rotation, Tarek's leg caught on a metal rod, sending him crashing to the ground. He bit back a groan. A nearby human soldier reached out a hand. "Need help?" he asked. Tarek hesitated, pride warring with exhaustion. Finally, he accepted the hand. The soldier pulled him up with ease. "Thanks," Tarek muttered, embarrassed. "Don't thank me yet," the human said, smiling. "Next round starts in 30 seconds. Tarek couldn't tell if he was serious or joking, but somehow, the humor lifted the pressure. For a moment, he felt something new, respect. That moment didn't go unnoticed. Lyrak, standing nearby, narrowed his eyes. Later, in the locker room, he whispered to another cadet, "Our commander is losing focus. He's starting to admire them." "Maybe he's right," the other said quietly. "The humans are strong." Lyrak's voice grew cold. "Strong? They're monsters. This training is torture disguised as friendship. I will make sure the fleet sees the truth." That night, while the others slept, Lyrak activated a small device hidden in his suit. A blue light blinked as it recorded everything, the humans shouting, the aliens collapsing, the endless drills. He spoke softly into the recorder. Day 3. Evidence of abuse and physical torment. Humans take pleasure in watching us fail. Sending this to command immediately. Outside, rain began to fall, tapping against the metal roof. Lyrak watched through the window as Reyes and Tarek spoke near the training dome. The human commander's posture was relaxed, his tone calm. Tarek, though tired, listened closely. "You're improving," Reyes said. "Your people are starting to understand the rhythm." "Or maybe we're just breaking slower," Tarek replied. Reyes smiled faintly. "Breaking is part of learning. You can't build muscle without tearing it first." The alien commander frowned. "We were taught that pain means weakness." Reyes shook his head. Pain means you're alive. For a long moment, they stood in silence. The rain washed the mud from their boots. Something like respect passed between them, though neither would say it aloud. Back in the barracks, Lyrak ended his recording and hid the device under his bed. His mind burned with anger and jealousy. He couldn't understand why their commander was beginning to trust these strange humans. He believed Earth's gravity wasn't just crushing their bodies, it was corrupting their spirit. As lights went out across the base, thunder rolled again in the distance. Commander Tarek lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the heavy pull of the planet pressing him down. His muscles ached, but inside, something was changing. The pain no longer felt like punishment. It felt like progress. He didn't know that betrayal was already growing among his ranks, or that the lesson of gravity was about to become much harder. For now, he only knew one thing. Tomorrow he would rise, and he would make sure his team rose with him, no matter how heavy the world became. The fourth day began with the sky painted in shades of red and gold, but for the alien cadets, it felt darker than ever. Their bodies were sore beyond reason, every muscle screaming for rest, but Commander Reyes had already ordered full gear for the morning session. No one dared to complain aloud. Even Commander Tarek, whose legs still trembled from the previous day's obstacle drills, stood tall and silent. He knew that the humans respected endurance more than words. The aliens gathered near the training dome where the air shimmered faintly with energy. The temperature was high, the air thick. It felt as if the planet itself wanted to crush them. Today, Reyes announced, is Leg Endurance Day. A quiet groan ran through the alien line. Some humans chuckled, recognizing the phrase that now haunted the visitors. Reyes continued, this will be the hardest day so far. The goal is simple, stay standing. The statement confused the aliens at first. Then they saw the setup. The gravity chamber had been expanded. Rows of metal platforms glowed blue, each connected to a control console. The humans stepped onto them casually, rolling their shoulders. One soldier laughed. Best part of the week. The aliens stepped onto their assigned platforms with hesitation. The weight from the first second hit them like invisible chains. Their knees bent, their backs curved, their hearts raced. Reyes watched closely. This is only standard Earth gravity, he said calmly. You're doing fine. But they were not fine. Even after days of training, their bodies still resisted the relentless pull. Sweat formed instantly, dripping down their faces and onto the steel floor. One alien, a tall female named Syrah, tried to steady herself but collapsed after 30 seconds. Two others quickly followed. Reyes didn't shout. He simply said, reset them at half weight. Keep going. The gravity increased in pulses, each one heavier than before. The sound of grunts and labored breathing filled the room. One by one, aliens began to fall. Tarek stood firm, though his legs shook violently. Hold your ground, he shouted to his team. Do not give in. His voice echoed through the chamber, but his strength was fading. Then came a sharp alarm. A red light flashed above them. Sir, shouted a human technician, we've got a malfunction on Platform 9, gravity spike. Before Reyes could respond, the platform under two aliens surged. The gravity tripled in an instant. Both cadets screamed, their bodies pinned to the floor, unable to move. Their suits creaked as if about to snap. The humans rushed toward the control panel, trying to shut down the field. Sparks flew. Manual overrides stuck, a soldier yelled. Without hesitation, Reyes sprinted across the floor and jumped onto the platform. The sudden gravity hit him like a hammer, but he pushed forward, teeth clenched. Get them off, he shouted. Two human soldiers followed, grabbing the aliens by their arms. The weight was crushing, but they pulled with everything they had. One human fell to his knees, legs shaking, but still didn't let go. After what felt like an eternity, the system powered down, releasing the pressure. Everyone dropped to the ground, panting. The aliens lay there, motionless, gasping for air. Reyes looked around. Medics, he barked. A team rushed in, lifting the injured cadets carefully. One alien looked up weakly, disbelief in his eyes. You risked your life for us? Reyes just smiled faintly. We don't leave people behind. Not on my planet. That moment changed something in the room. Even through their exhaustion, the aliens felt it, the respect, the unity that existed between these humans. They weren't cruel. They weren't monsters. They were warriors who had simply learned to survive the hardest world in the galaxy. Later, as the injured rested, Tarek sat with Reyes outside the dome. The air was cool, the sky dim with clouds. Your men didn't hesitate, Tarek said quietly. Even when the gravity could have crushed them. Reyes nodded. That's what training is for. You prepare to move when your body tells you to stop. And that makes you stronger? Tarek asked. Reyes looked at him. No. It makes you human. Tarek thought about that for a long time. When he returned to his team, he saw them differently. Their pride was gone, but their eyes were clearer. They had learned respect through pain. He knelt beside the two who were injured. You both fought well, he said. One of them whispered. We couldn't stand. Tarek smiled faintly. Standing isn't always the point. Enduring is. The others gathered around, silent but united. Even Lyrak, who had been secretly recording everything, felt something stir in his chest. He didn't understand it yet, but part of him began to question whether the humans were truly as cruel as he had believed. That night, rain fell again, heavy and cold. The aliens sat inside their barracks, sore and bruised but awake. Outside, through the windows, they saw human soldiers still training, lifting weights, sprinting through puddles, their laughter echoing in the dark. They trained not for survival, but for pride, for the joy of pushing beyond limits. Tarek whispered, almost to himself, maybe gravity is not punishment, maybe it's a teacher. The others nodded slowly. None of them would forget the sight of humans fighting against an invisible force with pure will. Earth's gravity had broken their bodies, but it was also shaping their spirit. For the first time, they weren't thinking about leaving, they were thinking about becoming stronger. In the silence of the night, Commander Reyes looked out from his quarters toward the alien barracks and smiled. The training had finally reached its true purpose. The aliens had reached their breaking point, and tomorrow, they would begin to rise. The next morning dawned quietly, too quietly. The usual sounds of boots hitting the training ground and weights clanging in the distance were replaced by silence and tension. Clouds rolled low over the base, thick and gray, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Commander Reyes stood near the edge of the field, arms crossed, watching the alien cadets approach. Their steps were slower today, their faces unreadable. Something was different. Even Tarek felt it, a cold unease crawling up his spine. His team was moving like a unit, but not in harmony. There was division hidden beneath their calm faces. The memory of the previous day still lingered, the accident, the human rescue, the respect they had started to feel. Yet, deep inside, pride and confusion fought for control. Reyes called out, "We'll start with endurance circuits. Double the laps today." The aliens nodded wordlessly. The training began. Humans sprinted ahead easily while aliens followed, breathing hard but determined. For an hour, everything seemed normal. Then, without warning, the base alarm blared. The loud, shrill sound made everyone freeze. Red lights flashed across the dome walls. "Security breach," a voice shouted from the loudspeakers. Reyes' face hardened. "Everyone stay put." He turned toward the command tent as soldiers rushed past him, weapons drawn. The aliens looked at one another, confused and afraid. Tarek barked an order to his team to stay in formation, but his mind was racing. What kind of breach could happen in a military base? Minutes later, Reyes returned, his expression grim. "Someone transmitted data off-world," he said coldly. "Footage from your training sessions." Tarek froze. His heart dropped. "What kind of footage?" "Everything," Reyes said. "Videos of your team collapsing, struggling, breaking. And it was sent to your fleet command." The air turned to ice. Every alien looked around in shock. Lyrak stood near the back, his eyes wide, his hands trembling. "Impossible," he said quickly. "Who would do that?" Reyes's gaze turned to him, sharp and unblinking. "You tell me." Tarek stepped forward, fury and disbelief mixing in his voice. "Are you accusing my people of espionage?" Reyes didn't answer immediately. Instead, he held up a small device, the same recording chip Lyrak had hidden days ago. "We found this under one of your bunks," he said. "It's full of recordings and voice logs accusing us of torture." Gasps rippled through the group. Lyrak's face turned pale, his mouth opening but no words coming out. You don't understand," he stammered. "I just wanted to show them what was happening." Tarek's voice roared through the air. "You betrayed us all." The force of his words made even the humans fall silent. He stepped closer to Lyrak, his eyes burning with anger and disappointment. "You've shamed your commander, your team, and our entire fleet. Do you think our leaders will see strength in your lies? They'll see weakness and fear." Lyrak shook his head desperately. "I didn't lie. I recorded the truth. Look at what this gravity does to us. It's breaking us apart." Reyes spoke quietly but firmly. "No, Cadet. It's building you. You just couldn't see it." Lyrak looked around for support, but none came. His teammates turned their backs. Even those who once complained about the humans now stood silently behind Tarek. The bond between them had changed. Pain and effort had created something real, something Lyrak could never understand. Reyes handed the device to one of his officers. "Delete everything," he ordered. "We train with trust here, not with spies." 2 soldiers escorted Lyrak away toward the holding area. The remaining aliens stood still, stunned and ashamed. Tarek exhaled slowly. "Commander Reyes," he said after a long silence, "I will take full responsibility for my soldier." Reyes shook his head. "Not necessary. He acted alone. And I've seen how the rest of you train. You've earned our respect." Tarek nodded, though the shame in his chest remained heavy. "Still," he said quietly, "his actions will have consequences among my kind. They will believe humans are what he described, cruel, merciless." Reyes looked out at the horizon. "Then we'll show them the truth, not through words, but through actions." That night, an urgent transmission came from the Zephyrian fleet. The alien high command had received Lyrak's footage before it was deleted. The voice on the hologram was cold and official. "Commander Tarek," it said, "terminate the human alliance immediately. Return your team at once. These conditions are unacceptable." Tarek stood stiff, his jaw tight. "With respect, sir, the footage does not tell the full story." "We've seen enough," the voice snapped. "You are to withdraw by tomorrow." The hologram faded, leaving silence. The cadets stared at their commander, waiting for his decision. "We can't leave," Sira said softly. "We've come too far." Another cadet nodded. "We finally understand what they were trying to teach us." Tarek looked at them all, pride swelling in his chest. "Our leaders think this training is torture," he said slowly. "But they don't know what strength feels like under pressure. We will stay." The aliens exchanged looks of fear and hope. Staying meant defying orders, risking exile or worse. But none of them moved to leave. They had learned too much to turn back now. Reyes entered quietly, hearing the last of their conversation. "You don't have to fight your own people," he said. "We can suspend training until it's sorted." Tarek shook his head. "No, Commander. We started this journey with arrogance. We'll end it with strength." Reyes extended his hand, and for the first time, Tarek took it firmly. There was no rivalry left, only respect. Outside, as the night deepened, a storm began to build once more. The humans and aliens trained side by side beneath the flashing sky, every drop of rain heavier than the last, every breath earned through effort. The betrayal had hurt them all, but it had also united them. They were no longer separate teams. They were one force now, learning to stand together against the pull of gravity and pride alike. The next day began with tension thick in the air. The storm had passed during the night, leaving the ground wet and the air heavy with the scent of rain and steel. Commander Reyes stood on the main field, his expression unreadable as soldiers and alien cadets assembled in two neat lines facing each other. The betrayal had shaken everyone, but instead of dividing them, it had hardened their resolve. Both sides were ready for what Reyes called the joint gravity simulation, a test designed to push them beyond every limit they had known. "Today is no ordinary training," Reyes announced. His voice echoed across the field. "You'll face the same enemy, gravity, but under changing conditions. Think of it as war. Only the battlefield will shift beneath you." The aliens exchanged uneasy glances. The humans, on the other hand, looked almost eager. The simulation field stretched across a wide valley, filled with machinery and shimmering gravity panels buried beneath the soil. Each section could change gravitational force at command, light as the moon, or heavy as Jupiter. Reyes raised his arm and pointed toward the field. "You'll enter in mixed teams, humans and aliens together. Work as one. The goal is simple: reach the extraction beacon at the far end of the valley. It will not be easy." Commander Tarek stood tall beside him. His voice carried pride and determination. "We are ready." Reyes nodded once. "We'll see." A loud horn blared, and the ground vibrated as the simulation began. The teams charged forward. At first, the gravity was light, almost too easy. The aliens moved swiftly, their confidence returning as their bodies felt lighter and faster. "This is more like it," one of them laughed. But within seconds, the panels shifted, and the pull increased sharply. Their feet sank into the mud, the air grew thick, and movement became a battle against an unseen force. The laughter stopped. "Welcome to Level 2, Reyes' voice echoed through the speakers. The humans kept moving steadily, their muscles accustomed to the strain. The aliens struggled, but they refused to fall behind. Tarek led from the front, his steps slow but powerful. "Stay together," he shouted. "We move as one." Suddenly, the gravity dropped again, sending everyone into the air for a brief, weightless moment. Bodies floated, limbs flailed. Then, without warning, the force slammed back down. Dust exploded as soldiers and cadets crashed to the ground. One alien screamed in pain, his arm twisted beneath him. A human soldier, Miller, immediately rushed to help. "I've got you," he said, dragging the injured alien out of the high-pressure zone. "Keep your head down." The alien stared at him in disbelief. "Why help me? We're opponents." Miller grinned through his sweat. "Not today. We're teammates." All across the field, similar scenes played out. Humans and aliens began to cover for each other, pulling each other through heavy zones, sharing oxygen packs, shouting encouragement. Reyes watched from the control deck, a faint smile crossing his face. "They're starting to get it," he murmured. "This isn't about who's stronger, it's about who endures together." As the simulation continued, the terrain changed again. Gravity waves rolled through the valley, shifting from low to high in seconds. Every step became unpredictable. The aliens' earlier advantage vanished, their long legs and light frames no longer helped. The humans, steady and balanced, took the lead. "Don't fight gravity," Reyes' voice advised over the comms. "Flow with it. Adapt to it." Tarek repeated the words to his team. "You heard him. Stop resisting, move with the rhythm." Slowly, the aliens began to find their balance again. They started to use their natural agility to recover quickly between shifts. Together, the mixed teams began to progress faster. Mud splashed, boots pounded, and the air was filled with the sounds of effort and determination. Halfway through the field, the gravity spiked suddenly. Everyone froze, pinned to the ground. The beacon still glowed faintly in the distance, mocking them. "Come on!" shouted Tarek. "We're not stopping here." He tried to move, but his legs refused. Then he saw Reyes, across the field, still standing. The human commander took one step forward, then another, forcing his body to move through the crushing pressure. Every muscle in his body strained, veins standing out like cords. "If I can move, so can you," Reyes shouted, his voice hoarse but strong. The aliens stared in disbelief. A human was walking under 5 times normal gravity. Inspired, Tarek forced his knees to bend, pressing his hands into the dirt to push himself forward. "Together," he roared. "We move together." One by one, the cadets followed. The humans joined them, crawling, pushing, dragging themselves toward the beacon. Every meter felt like climbing a mountain. When the first soldier reached the beacon, he slammed the activation pad with a trembling hand. A loud tone filled the valley, signaling success. Instantly, the gravity field deactivated. Everyone collapsed to the ground, breathing hard, muscles burning. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then laughter broke out, first from a human, then an alien, then everyone. It wasn't laughter of mockery, but of relief, pride, and understanding. Reyes walked over to Tarek, both covered in dirt and sweat. "That," Reyes said, "was leg day, level 2. Tarek gave a tired smile. "You humans are insane." Reyes laughed. "Maybe. But now you are too." The two commanders clasped hands, their grip firm and respectful. Around them, humans and aliens rested side by side on the muddy ground, no longer strangers or rivals, but comrades. The simulation had done more than test their endurance, it had erased the walls between them. As the sun broke through the clouds and light spilled over the field, Tarek looked toward the sky where his home planet orbited far away. "If only they could see this," he whispered. Reyes heard him and replied, "One day they will." The gravity war games had ended, but something far greater had begun, the birth of a shared respect between two species forged under the same weight, the same pain, and the same unbreakable will to rise again. The next few days after the gravity war games felt almost peaceful. The aliens and humans shared the same cafeteria, trained in the same gym, and even joked together between drills. The old tension had faded, replaced by quiet respect. Commander Reyes and Commander Tarek often stood side by side, reviewing training reports and discussing progress. For the first time since the program began, the base felt united. But peace never lasts long in a place built for war. One night, as the twin moons hung above the horizon, the base sirens screamed again. Everyone froze. Soldiers grabbed weapons, and aliens instinctively took defensive stances. Tarek rushed to the control center, where Reyes was already watching the monitors. A red alert symbol flashed on the screen. "Unidentified ships entering atmosphere," Reyes said, his jaw tightening. "Not human, not from your fleet either." Tarek's eyes widened. "That's impossible. Who else could be here?" The radar showed 6 fast-moving objects descending toward Earth's surface. Within minutes, the sky outside the dome glowed with fiery streaks. The base trembled from the shock waves. "Incoming craft have breached the upper defense zone," a technician shouted. "They're not answering hails." Reyes turned to his men. "Prepare defensive positions. This base is now on full lockdown." The lights shifted to red, and heavy blast doors slid shut with a metallic hiss. Tarek looked at the screen again. The ships were slowing down, spreading in formation, heading directly toward their coordinates. "They're Zephyrian," he said finally, his voice heavy. "But they're not mine. They're from the Council Enforcement Fleet." Reyes's expression hardened. "Your people are invading." Tarek shook his head. "No, not invading. They're here to take us back, or worse, to destroy what we've built." Outside, the air rumbled as the ships descended through the clouds. Bright blue thrusters cut through the night, lighting the field like day. Reyes grabbed his communicator. "All units, defensive positions around the perimeter. Do not engage unless fired upon." Tarek faced his own team. "Cadets, listen to me. Those are not allies anymore. They believe we've betrayed the Zephyrian order. They won't listen to reason. The aliens looked terrified, but Tarek's steady voice held them together. We trained for survival. Now we prove what we learned. A deep, resonating voice echoed through the night as a transmission played over the base's loudspeakers. This is Admiral Koroth of the Zephyrian Council. Commander Tarek, you and your unit are hereby charged with collaboration with a hostile species. You will surrender immediately, or face termination. The message ended with static. Reyes clenched his fists. They're serious. Tarek nodded grimly. They'll attack in minutes. Reyes turned toward him. Then we'll stand together. The first blast came like thunder, shaking the ground. Plasma bolts slammed into the base's shields, lighting up the sky in flashes of blue and white. The shield generators screamed under the pressure. Inside, the humans and aliens scrambled to their stations. Shields holding at 60%, shouted a human engineer. Not for long. Another blast struck, sending sparks raining from the ceiling. Commander, one alien cadet shouted. We have external communication arrays down. Reyes barked an order. Then we fight blind. Everyone to defense platforms. Tarek's team rushed to the eastern side, where energy cannons were mounted. They had trained their bodies to handle Earth's gravity, but now they had to fight under it. Each movement was slower, heavier, but their will was stronger than ever. The night turned into chaos. Plasma fire streaked across the sky as the alien fleet rained destruction on the base. Reyes fired back, coordinating his soldiers with sharp, precise orders. Focus on the lead ship. Don't waste ammo. The aliens followed suit, manning cannons with human partners. For the first time, they fought not as separate races but as one force. Tarek and Reyes stood side by side on the command balcony, their faces illuminated by explosions. They're not stopping, Reyes said through clenched teeth. They want you dead. No, Tarek said darkly. They want to erase the idea that we can work together. The fleet's leader, Admiral Koroth, opened another transmission. You were warned, Tarek. You chose humans over your own kind. You've contaminated our honor. Tarek replied coldly. No, Admiral. I learned what honor truly means. From them. Koroth's voice turned venomous. Then you will die like them. The largest ship descended lower, its shadow swallowing the base. Massive cannons charged with light, ready to fire. Reyes shouted, all power to shields. But it was too late. The blast hit like a meteor strike. The ground erupted, throwing soldiers and cadets off their feet. Fires tore through the outer walls, alarms blaring everywhere. For a moment, everything was chaos. Then, through the smoke and dust, Tarek saw something. One of the smaller Zephyrian ships spiraling out of control, hit by their own stray fire. It crashed near the far ridge, exploding in a flash. Reyes grabbed Tarek's shoulder. We can't hold much longer. If they keep firing, the entire base will collapse. Tarek looked at the burning sky, his mind racing. We can't outgun them, but maybe we can outthink them. Their ships rely on quantum stabilizers. If we overload the gravity field, Reyes caught on immediately. It'll knock them out of sync. Exactly, Tarek said. But it will also disable our shields temporarily. Reyes nodded. Then we'll do it together. He turned to the control team. Prepare for field inversion on my mark. The humans and aliens worked fast, inputting commands into the consoles as enemy fire continued to rain down. The base shuddered, alarms screamed, and the ground cracked under the strain. Ready! Someone shouted. Reyes looked at Tarek. Now. Tarek slammed his hand on the activation switch. Instantly, the entire field glowed white. A low hum rose, then a massive shockwave burst outward. For a few seconds, everything went silent. Then, the sky lit up as the Zephyrian ships lost control, spinning and breaking formation. Their stabilizers overloaded, engines flickering. One by one, the ships began to fall, disappearing into the clouds. The blast had worked. But, at a cost. The base's shields flickered out completely. Fires burned across the compound, and debris lay everywhere. Reyes stumbled, catching himself against the console. "We did it," he said between heavy breaths. "We stopped them." Tarek nodded, though his eyes were dark with worry. "For now. But this was only a warning. The Council won't forgive this. They'll come again, and next time, they won't just attack the base. They'll attack Earth itself." Reyes looked at him, silent for a moment. Then he said quietly, "Then we prepare." The two commanders stood together, watching the burning sky, knowing that peace had ended and a far greater war was about to begin. The air was thick with smoke and dust, and the ruins of the training base stretched out across the valley like the bones of a fallen giant. The once orderly compound was now a field of wreckage and ash. Humans and aliens worked side by side, pulling survivors from the rubble, carrying supplies, and tending to the wounded. The fires had died down, but the danger had not. Everyone knew the Zephyrian Council would return. Commander Reyes stood at the edge of the cracked command platform, looking out at the horizon where black clouds still swirled. His uniform was torn, his face streaked with dirt, but his eyes were sharp with determination. "They'll come again," he said quietly. Beside him, Commander Tarek nodded. His armor was scorched, and his arm was wrapped in bandages, but he stood tall. "They won't stop until we're erased," he said. "But they don't understand something important. We've already learned how to survive their worst weapon, gravity itself." Reyes gave a faint smile. "Then let's make them feel it." Over the next few days, the base transformed into a fortress. Damaged walls were rebuilt using scavenged metal, and human engineers worked with alien technology to create hybrid defenses, gravity traps, plasma turrets, and shock barriers. The survivors were exhausted, but no one complained. Every soldier, human or alien, had the same goal now, to make their stand. The unity between them had grown unbreakable, forged by shared pain and respect. Late one night, as rain began to fall again, Tarek stood under the open sky, staring upward. The stars were hidden behind storm clouds, but he could almost feel the presence of his home world out there, millions of miles away. "Do you regret staying?" Reyes asked, stepping beside him. Tarek shook his head. "I regret not understanding sooner. My people think strength is about dominance. But you humans, you taught me it's about endurance, about standing when everything pushes you down." Reyes looked out at the field, where soldiers trained even in the rain. "You learned our secret," he said. "We don't win because we're stronger. We win because we refuse to quit." Before dawn, the alarms sounded again. The sky lit up with streaks of fire as dozens of Zephyrian warships entered the atmosphere. This time, it wasn't a warning. It was an invasion. "Positions!" Reyes shouted. "Everyone to your stations." The ground shook as the first plasma blasts hit the defensive shields. The entire base glowed blue under the impact. "Shields at 70%, someone yelled. "Hold the line," Tarek commanded, rallying his cadets. The aliens moved swiftly, manning the new gravity cannons they had built with human help. When the next wave of ships descended, Tarek raised his hand. "Fire!" The cannons released pulses of pure gravity energy. The beams hit the lead ships, twisting them violently in midair. Engines exploded, and two ships spiraled down in flames. Cheers erupted from the defenders, but the celebration was short-lived. A massive shadow appeared through the clouds, Admiral Karatha's flagship. It dwarfed every other ship, its hull black as night, covered in glowing crimson lines of energy. "He's here," Tarek said grimly. The flagship opened fire, launching shockwave missiles that shattered the shields in seconds. The explosion sent both commanders to the ground. "Shields down!" someone screamed. Reyes pulled himself up, coughing. "Backup plan. Activate the gravity field." The human engineers rushed to the console, flipping switches. All across the battlefield, the gravity suddenly spiked to 10 times normal. The air itself seemed to crush everything beneath it. Zephyrian troops descending from their ships screamed as they hit the ground, unable to move. The humans and aliens, trained for weeks under heavy gravity, could still stand. Now! Tarek shouted. Push forward. The defenders charged through the storm, firing at the immobilized invaders. Plasma fire lit up the battlefield, explosions shaking the valley. Reyes moved like a force of nature, shouting orders, dragging fallen soldiers to safety, firing at enemy drones. Beside him, Tarek fought with ruthless precision, his movements slow but unstoppable under the crushing pressure. The gravity field tore at their bodies, but they refused to yield. The enemy began to panic. Their armor is too heavy, one of the Zephyrian officers shouted. We can't move. Karath watched from his flagship, fury in his eyes. Fools, he growled. Increase altitude and fire everything. The ship's cannons began to charge, glowing brighter and brighter. Reyes saw it first. He's going to destroy the entire valley, he yelled. If that beam hits, we're done. Tarek looked at the command tower, where the main gravity generator pulsed like a beating heart. If we overload it, it might pull his ship down before he fires. Reyes stared at him. That could kill everyone in the blast radius. Then we make it count, Tarek said. Without waiting, he sprinted toward the generator. Reyes shouted for him to stop, but Tarek didn't look back. He ran through the chaos, explosions lighting his path. Aliens and humans tried to cover him, firing at drones that swooped down from above. A plasma bolt hit near his feet, throwing him to the ground, but he crawled forward, blood dripping from a cut on his forehead. He reached the generator, sparks flying all around it. Reyes' voice came through the comms. Tarek, you don't have to do this. Yes, I do, Tarek said quietly. This is our leg day, the final one. He pressed his hand against the control panel, overriding the safety protocols. For both our worlds. The generator roared to life, glowing white-hot. Energy surged upward, twisting the air. The gravity spiked far beyond its limit. The sky tore open as Karatha's flagship shuddered, caught in the pull. No! The admiral screamed. The ship began to crumble, its hull bending inward under the immense force. It was dragged downward, piece by piece, until it exploded in a blinding flash. The shockwave ripped across the valley, knocking everyone to the ground. When the light faded, the sky was silent. The ships were gone. The rain fell softly over the battlefield. Reyes slowly stood, his ears ringing. Smoke rose from the wreckage, and the gravity field began to stabilize. Tarek! He called into his comm. There was no answer. He ran to the generator, now cracked and smoking. In the wreckage, he found Tarek's insignia, burned but intact. Reyes clenched it in his hand. You did it, he whispered. Days later, the surviving aliens prepared to leave Earth, carrying news of Tarek's sacrifice. Reyes stood at the launch pad, watching the ships rise into the sky. The Alliance had been born in pain and fire, but it would not be forgotten. As the last ship vanished into the clouds, Reyes looked up and smiled faintly. Rest easy, Commander, he said. Leg day is over. But in his heart, he knew it was only the beginning of something much greater. The day when humans and aliens would finally stand as one, not against each other, but side by side, ready for whatever the universe would throw at them next.